showtime, folks.
Thanks, Karine. I wanted to ask about this decision we saw yesterday in Louisiana on the White House contact with social media companies. Does the White House have a response to the judge basically saying that this is the most massive attack on free speech in the U.S. history?
Here we go.
So, as you know, DOJ is reviewing the decision, the injunction, and so I don't want to get ahead of what they will evaluate and their options could potentially be. So, not going to get ahead of the DOJ. If you're asking me if we agree or disagree, we certainly disagree.
Nice.
With this decision, and as I said, the DOJ is reviewing this, so I'm not going to get ahead of what their evaluation, what options they're going to potentially take on moving forward.
Does the President plan to make a direct appeal to Turkey or Hungary regarding Sweden's NATO bid?
Look, I think we've been very clear. I just laid out where our position has been. And the President has been very public, has been very clear about Sweden. And so I'm just going to leave it there. Don't have anything else to add towards that. I think, again, having the Prime Minister here ahead of NATO next week, I think is important. But the President clearly has been very clear about Sweden becoming a member of NATO. And so we'll continue to be outspoken about that and continue to be public about that.
For calls to the...
I just don't have any calls to read out at this time, but I think you can see by the President's actions and his words, not just actions, that he's been pretty steadfast on saying that Sweden should become a NATO member as soon as possible. Get him.
How does the White House view the Quran burning in Stockholm, and whether that will affect the NATO negotiations with Turkey?
So look, I'm not going to get into the negotiations or any diplomatic conversations from here. Clearly, the burning of the Quran, as you all know, is something that the President would certainly agree is disappointing to see. But I'm just not going to get ahead of any conversations or diplomatic conversations being had.
We'd think so, but no.
Today, the Pentagon announced that it's taking steps to revamp how classified information is accessed after the leaks of highly classified information. I'm wondering if the White House has been involved in any of those conversations and whether or not there's any comment on those steps.
I don't have anything to read out on any conversations with the Pentagon. I would refer you to them.
That's an odd thing to say.
One, again, on the discovery of cocaine, are there concerns that an illicit substance was brought into the White House and not detected by security? Obviously, every guest that enters the White House goes through airport-like security. I'm wondering if just generally if there's concerns about the ability for someone to...
So,
Bizarro.
let the Secret Service do their investigation. Again, this is under their purview. They're going to look into all the things of what happened over the weekend. I just don't want to get ahead of that. Clearly, the Secret Service is in charge of security on campus, and so I would really refer you to them on this piece.
Thanks. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is asking the president to declare East Palestine a major disaster area after the train derailment. He sent the president a letter on Monday. Is the president considering, and will he fulfill that request?
So I can say this, as it does with all of its requests, FEMA will expeditiously review the request, this particular request from the governor of Ohio as well. This is something that we do every time this comes through us. A couple of things I do want to state here as it relates to Norfolk and Southern, to be more specific. It's under a federal order to cover all costs for cleaning up its mess that it did, that they caused in East Palestine. The EPA is making them pay so that the taxpayers don't have to pay for their mess. And so we've been very clear about that. The EPA has been on top of that. And so when it comes to Norfolk Southern, they have met their terms of the order to date, and there are stiff penalties if they do not. And so EPA again has been on top of this, and so just don't have anything further. But as we do with every declaration that comes our way, the FEMA's way, when it comes to major disasters, they're going to take a look at this and they'll make a decision.
You can say that again.
president not made the visit out there? And at this point, is he just not going to? He's done a lot of travel in recent weeks and months.
So I'm just going to repeat what the president said. He will travel to the area, to East Palestine. Just don't have anything to share on travel or upcoming dates that he'll be there. But the president said it. He's going to go, so he will go. Once we have a date, we'll certainly share that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. If the Secret Service determines who brought the cocaine into the White House, does the White House support the prosecution of this individual?
I'm just not going to get into hypotheticals from here. Let the Secret Service do their job. It's under their purview. We are confident that they'll get to the bottom of it. I'm just not going to get ahead of this right this time. Okay.
So Secret Service officials are actually cautioning that they might not find the person involved because it is such a busy thoroughfare. So if they don't get to the bottom of it, as you're saying, would the president be satisfied with, sir, this is a busy room and we found some cocaine, we don't know who brought it?
So let's see what the Secret Service says, right? Again, this is under investigation. Don't want to get into hypotheticals while investigation is going on and is happening at this time. Just not going to get ahead of it. Let Secret Service do their job.
You sure about that?
And if I work anywhere on the complex, what is the process like for me if I want to bring, can you just lay out to the extent that you can the process for, you know, if I want to bring in family or friends as somebody who works here? Do I go to somebody in the White House? Do I go immediately to the Secret Service and say, hey, I want to do this? Like, how does that work?
So there's a specific process. I'm happy to share that with you. I want to make sure I get it right, so not certainly going to lay that out right at this time, but there is a process, as one of your colleagues mentioned. Everybody does go through a process to come on campus. They do get vetted. They go through a security process. As it relates to the security piece of it, I would have to refer you to Secret Service, but certainly someone from my team can certainly lay out. I think some of you may understand this process, as some of you may not have hard pass and you know how this all works, but I just want to make sure I get this right, so happy to share that with you after the briefing.
Review the trip tomorrow? No?
Sure. Let's see. As you know, the president's going to go to South Carolina tomorrow. He's going to certainly be making an announcement on the manufacturing. And that's the layout here of what that's going to look like. Give me 1 second. I don't have that here. We'll certainly share it with you after the briefing. But I mean, this all plays into what the president has been saying, which is like he's a president for all Americans, whether you're a red state or blue state. We've seen a manufacturing boom over the past 2 years since the president's been here, and you see that in South Carolina. And so the president's going to go to South Carolina, make an announcement. We shared some of that with you all already. There was some preview stories that some of you saw, and so the president's looking forward to doing that. But again, this is something that the president has said. He wants to make sure that we build an economy from the bottom up, middle out, that leaves no one behind. And when you think about manufacturing jobs, those jobs are going to be really important union jobs that are going to make sure that people who are around the kitchen table now have an opportunity to really look at their cost at the end of the month and be able to have a good job that pays 6 figures without some of those jobs, the majority of those jobs without a college education. That's important. That is what it means to have equality at the center of economic policy. That is what it means to make sure that we have an economy that works for all. So that's what you're going to hear from the president, and this is also Bidenomics.
Wow.
Right, we've been talking about Bidenomics since last week and how it's delivering. You look at the data, you look at the numbers, you look at the 13 million jobs that's been created. Again, the 800,000 manufacturing jobs. You look at what the Inflation Reduction Act has been able to do. The bipartisan infrastructure legislation has been able to do. All are important key parts of the president's plan, and that's what the president's going to speak to.
Hey, that's pretty good.